I'm Dan Morris, you're watching Bosun Dan Bushcraft, and today it's this little lady's turn. This is little Sally, my 1982 Kawasaki KH125K, and the more observant amongst you might hear the sound of another bike running. That's my 250 Super Dream just ticking over in the background. Now this is a very special little motorcycle. Not to a lot of you folks, I would imagine, but to me, this is a very, very special little bike, as I have had this since I was 17. This is the 125 that I used to terrorize the streets with back in the days, running around on a CBT. And my friend, I think it was an MZ ETZ 125, but little Sally was my 125. Now, she has been owned by several people in my family over the years, and it's 43 of those years now, bless her. And she is starting to look a little bit tatty here and there. I know to the casual observer, she looks kind of shiny, she looks kind of nice, but she does have her faults, as in the exhaust absolutely trolleyed. I've been welding it for ages and ages. The thing with this is, for a long time I really struggled to get any parts for it. You got to think, I've pretty much been riding this before the internet and eBay was a thing, so getting parts was difficult. Back mudguards all gone and rotten, back indicators are corroded to heck. This one's not so bad, but it can go anyway, and we've got quite a bit of rusty crusty bits all over the frame. So, in the spirit of holly jolly good times and memories, it's little Sally's turn for a bit of a miniature bike restoration. I've got all manner of parts and things to put on this. Starting off, we're going to tear it down a bit, strip some bits off it, clean up, paint the frame, and see how good we can make her look. Shouldn't take too much. I personally think she already looks pretty charming. She hasn't actually featured in any of my videos just yet, aside from she has been in the background of, I think, one of the trapping videos. And there's Matilda. She's been booted out of her own garage just for this very special bit of motorcycle love. Oh, here you go, sweetness. Right then, so before we can really dig in, it's time to strip this thing down a bit. She's wearing a few too many clothes, and I need all this off it so I can get at it, because before we get to the glamorous and shiny stuff, I need to get the frame painted. There's a lot of iffy bits on the frame under there from all the years. I'm lifting it because I'm not bending down, get little bits on it like that. Too old for that caper now. Any of you at home that don't have a bike lift, get a bike lift. Get a bike lift. It'll change your life, honestly. It makes cleaning easier. Oh, it just makes everything so much easier. It's not been off for a while. I am expecting on this project, yep, the seat's going to want recovering. I am expecting on this project there is going to be some bolts that are going to be kippered, and I may have to run through it with a tapping bit to clear threads and put a slightly different bolt back in. On that note of putting bolts back in, whenever you take something off, stash the bolts where they live, otherwise you'll come back to them, they'll be gone. I know it's not everywhere that you can do that, but where you can, stash your bolts where they live, and then you won't lose them. That's where my toolkit went then. Now, I knew very well there was going to be some stuck bolts, and these are very crispy, so I'll give them a good old soaking in WD and move on to something else. Let them soak that in, and then have a go at them in a minute. Might need heat. They are quite close to plastics. Luckily I do have a very small soldering iron blowtorch, which if you take the soldering heads off it, functions as just a teeny blowtorch. That might be just the job for what we've got going on here, so we'll have a look at that in a bit. Now that's the problem with these little 10mm bolts, is they'll feel like they're moving and they're going to come out, and then they'll just shear off. So really what you want to do is keep backing and forwarding and back and forward, and that'll help. So that's backed up a little bit. If I give that a clean about with the wire brush, maybe I can get some good WD around it, or at least to go under it a little bit. You've had a few moments, so look, a few turns that way, tighten it back up again, just clean that thread. And with every turn you can feel it getting a little lighter, which means you're just taking a little more pressure off them. This won't work for every stuck bolt. Sometimes you'll turn it once, they'll just shear off. There's nothing you can do about it. This one appears to be nice and freely moving now. It actually does have, which I didn't think it would have, a nut underneath. Very unusual. Right, this is going to be a bigger nuisance than I thought, because I can't get at the other side of that with the wheel in place. So I'm going to have to take the wheel off, which means taking the exhaust off, which doesn't really matter because all that was coming off anyway, because I've got a new exhaust for it. So I won't bore you with that. I'll come back to you in a minute when I've got everything else off it. So that's the exhaust off, and now you can see the absolute state of it from where you can't see there's another plate I welded under the bracket. I'll take the bracket off, give that a good cleaning up, a good shiny paint in black later on. But this is going in the bin. I have managed to track a new one. It kept it on the road. At the time I couldn't get hold of an exhaust for it. This kept it running. So as ugly of a repair as it is, because obviously I had only got normal steel to weld into it, I hadn't got stainless lying around. So that would have been a much nicer repair. Could have welded stainless to it and then polished it, and it would be a lot less visible, especially if I had stainless welding wire. But anyway, let's get this wheel off. Okay then, so whilst a few things are currently soaking in WD-40, I've got the wheel and everything off. I've took the chain off as well, because that's just getting in the way, slapping about. And I've just decided it's going to be far easier to get to the frame bits that I want to paint if I take this side plate off the engine, and I can have a look at what's going on down there whilst I'm in there. Obviously chain oil's been wished around everywhere, so let's get this off and I'll be back. Now that's the little engine side panel off. I will have to cover all that up at some point later before I start cleaning rust off, because obviously I don't want that full of crispy bits. Let it go. And off with the tank. Oh heck, this has got a lot in it. It's unusual. I think I might take this airbox off though, to be honest with you. That is kind of in the way. Then I'm in a better place to wrap the engine up complete, to not get crud all over that. So I think that's what I'm going to do now, because I'm still soaking these bolts, you see. So just whilst I've got all that off, tanks off, airbox is off, I'm going to tape up the fuel line and the two-stroke oil line, firstly to make them airtight. More important with your two-stroke oil, I don't want all the two-stroke oil disappearing and filling with air, but I also tape it to this, keep it out of the way. I also don't want it getting full of crud, because I am at some point going to be grinding the rot off this. Right, that's as covered as that's going to get. Now I really want to get all this back end off. I've left them, so I've just slippery. I've just drained all the two-stroke oil out of the two-stroke tank, because I fully intend to give the two-stroke tank itself a damn good cleaning up, make it look all nice and shiny and pretty. Mostly just because it is the original two-stroke tank. Plastic tanks like that tend to age quite badly, especially like header tanks and stuff, where they're subjected to a hell of a lot of heat. Two-stroke tank isn't getting any heat, it's just sitting there holding two-stroke oil, so it's out of the sun and it's survived beautifully, and it does still have its original and working level gauge on it. Because the KHs mixed their own fuel and two-stroke oil, anybody who knows these old two-strokes will definitely remember of a time or a person where they themselves or somebody else has sat at the fuel station shaking the living devil out of their bike That's just because if he doesn't have that self-mix tank, you used to have to actually put the two-stroke oil into the petrol tank directly and then shake the devil out of it to get it to mix. So, crazy. Right, that's all of that for now. I want this back end off, so I'm going to find my miniature blowtorch. This is definitely going to want heating up because I can already feel how crud they are, and I would like to save them if possible. So this one is beautifully free moving already. Oh, so's this one. To be honest, it was those two the other side that didn't seem too enthusiastic. It's a whole array of weaponry. Ha ha ha! I don't want to use the massive blowtorches I've got because... oh, crapper. Because behind this, what it's holding on is plastic. This one doesn't even look like it was ever tightened. So it doesn't look in bad condition, but it doesn't want to move. Oh yeah, you see, this front bit's moving, the back bit's not, it's gone. This one is deceased, and it's just sheared off. Beautiful. Now the question is, will I be able to get the rest of it out? Might be able to, actually. And so the worst case scenario is, what I'll do is I'll go to town, I'll buy a new nut and a new bolt, and I'll grind the nut off the back of the bike, and I'll just weld a new one on it. It's not the end of the world. It is a bit more faff that I didn't want to do, but like I said, I am going to nip off town at some point and just buy a huge selection of various nuts and bolts. So these side, although these two have now quite nicely broken loose, they've done that old trick that a lot of them will do, is when you're pulling them out, the further out you get them, they start stiffening. Don't risk snapping them. Spray the dry thread with WD, send it back in. Send it back in. Let that WD and the twisty action keep cleaning that thread out for you. So there's that little black trim surround, nicely popped off. Another lovely little original piece of the vehicle. I'm not going to mess about with this stuff. I'm going to give it a good cleaning in soapy water, and I'm literally just going to spray paint it with a nice heavy matte black, bring it right back to life straight away. I can't be bothered trying to salvage the original sort of look of it in that sense. It's scratched and everything, so a nice fine layer of paint on it will sort it right out. Right, let's give it some power. Yeah, these are going to shear. Yeah, there we go. Knew they would. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. They're just a straight through thing. They can be easily... It's let it go anyway, so that's what we needed. They can be easily replaced. At this point, I'm kind of forcing them to break. There we go. That's what we needed. That's what we need. It is always nicer when they come out complete, but there's no way they were coming off. And why would they? They've been under a mudguard for 40 odd years. I mean, you know, that's not a recipe for a happy life, is it? So now we're on to the main mudguard bolts. One of them sheared straight away. The other one's actually coming out. And coming out quite clean by the look of it. Right, out you go. Oh, there's the tail. Strip all that down in a bit. Oh, that's going to be great fun getting them out. Strip all that down later. Mudguard's going. I need to clean all this up and keep it. Did just smack the indicator there. That's going as well. Don't worry about that. It's just a plastic sheet. There's another bit I can clean up and give a lick of spray paint. Made in Japan. Lovely. So now we've got all that plastic off out of the way. I've got some mole grips on this stub end of this bolt that's sheared. I'm going to see if I can get it out clean, because if I can't, that'll make it a lot easier. It'll just be stick another 10mm bolt in it. Do a bit of fire on it. Put out that t-shirt down there that was on fire. Let's see, do you want to move? Oh, it's tweetering. It is moving. Ah, there we go. That'll save me a bit of time and effort later on. So that's the battery tray loose. That's one of the good things about this little bike is so much stuff comes off it. And when I say about nice original features, there's your little spare fuse holder still in the battery tray. So it's funny, the little things that survive. Right, so that's the wiring as loose as it needs to be. I don't need to completely remove it out of this section of the bike, just so I can move it around, so I can get in and scrape it and get in with the paints and stuff in a little while. Alright, so I've got practically everything off the bike that I need to now. She's looking very bare. I need to straighten this up. So I have actually took the back shockers off it just so that I don't just so as I don't melt the rubbers in the bushes of the back shocks, because I need that all nice and hot. It's bent at some point. Obviously somebody's had a tumble and fell off this at some point and bent a lot of it. Can't have been me. I don't recall ever falling off this one. I fell off plenty of others. This one I've never actually fell off, I don't think, so not that I remember. Certainly not bad enough to buckle all of that, so I'm going to get it good and hot and then beat it back to some sort of shape. Got to keep it good and hot to prevent metal fatigue, otherwise it'll just shear off. Right, that is a heck of a lot straighter than it was. Good enough for me. Right there, folks. She's bare, she's naked, she's just about outside to try and control some of this crud that's going to come off her, and it's now time for my favourite part, and that is the old grinder. Let's get the old wire wheel out and let's get and start removing this crusty rust. So that's the bulk of the back end clean and well, wire brushed with the grinder wire brush, wire wheels, and cleaned up with a bit of degreaser. I'm just going to spray a thin layer of this stuff on it before I go on with any other paint work or move on to anything else. This is etch primer. This chemically glues itself, it bonds onto the metal. Much better as a starter layer than just any other primer. Obviously I'm going to add a few different layers of primer because that's what I do. But this stuff is just going to be that first layer to give it that nice covering layer. So I'm just going to go round the bike and give it a few layers of this all over it. I'm going to get rid of you guys because I don't want the camera covered in this. Right then, so with the addition of some drill based hardware, let's see if we can't get it a bit cleaner in there. It's horrible in there. Obviously it's horrible in there because it's a tricky area to get at. Right then, so we've got the first layer of black all over the frame. Let that dry properly, otherwise it just makes a massive mess of brush stripes and problems. So we'll just let that go now. It'll probably want a good 2 or 3 coats on it, to be honest with you. Give it some thorough, proper drying time. And whilst it dries, I'm going to attack this battery tray. Right, well I've got that about as realistically clean as I can with the wire brushes and the grinders, and now I've just given it a good soaking in etch primer. I'm going to let it dry, keep turning it around, give it some more. So what I think I might do is go and get myself a bucket of soapy water and start cleaning up the actual black plastics while I'm waiting for all of this to dry, because I'm going to give them a tickle over with some nice black spray paint, but we need them clean first. Can't just attack them with grinders, they're plastic. So we've got some plastics on this bike. This is like the back mudguard piece, and as you can see it's seen better days for many reasons. So I'm going to give it a good old scrubbing, get it as clean as I can. I'm pretty certain at this point that it aesthetically is beyond saving. I mean physically it's fine, but aesthetically it's never going to look like the clean shiny thing I want it to. So I'm pretty much just going to clean it up, give it a very light flatting over with some very fine sandpaper, and then probably just give it a nice go over with some black spray paint, and that'll set it looking solid. But before we can do any of that, it is filthy. And all of the filthy components of the now completely stripped down airbox. Right, so now they're all clean as in actually soapy clean, I'm going to go over them with some P600 wet flatting paper, smooth them out. This one's got lots of paint and stuff all over it, and just that'll get them as clean as they possibly can be, and it'll give the new paint something to key onto a bit. So naturally, because I've just started rattling a can of spray paint, it's gone windy as all hell, but these are all now thoroughly washed, given a nice light wet flatting to give them some adhesion, because I mean you can see how pale and weird coloured they are after all these years. And I'm just going to go over them with some black paint, freshen them up. Right, well as I'm in the middle of waiting for so many different paints to dry, I'm going to get on and slap some paint on the old battery holder here. That's going to be awkward because there's so many little shapes and different bits. Oh, this is going to take a while. Okie dokie, so once again I have got lots of things drying. Lots and lots and lots of paint drying away, which is kind of holding me up. So I'll get on with the next thing. There's no particular order to this chaos, I'm just doing it as I please, sort of going along. But as I said, when I pulled this off, the old two-stroke oil bottle, it's in fantastic original condition underneath all this slurry. So just in the interest of what we're doing, I'm going to clean the thing up. Well, we're getting somewhere. It is starting to look a lot cleaner, and you're probably thinking, wow, you've filled the whole thing with water. Yes, I am, and I'm going to give it a good rinse and let it dry out properly. I'm kind of glad I've done that, because you wouldn't believe the little flakes of squishy, sludgy stuff that come out after 43 years of being a two-stroke oil tank. There was a lot of crud in the bottom of there, and as you can see, the outlet that lets out the two-stroke oil is very small. Any one of those lumpy bits could have clogged that, and obviously being a two-stroke, a clogged two-stroke oil pipe would be, well, disastrous. To be fair, it would most likely lead you to a seized engine, so quite glad we've gone this deep with the clean of this and made sure there's no crud floating in that. Well, that is about as clean as it's going to get. So I'm going to towel it off of it because it's very greasy, because all the two-strokes come out of it, floating on the surface of the water, and it's stuck to it. So I'm going to give it a jolly good toweling to get the oily bits off it, then I'm going to take it in and give it a thoroughly good rinsing out to get all the soap off it and out of it. So I don't want soapy bits inside when the new oil goes in. Oh, there we go, all clean and shiny and well rinsed out. All the soap is gone out of there, all the sludgy bits gone. It's now pretty spotless inside as well, which is what you want. We don't want contaminants getting down the pipe, going into all the fine little needly bits. I'm going to just pop this over there in the sun with it open and let the sun evaporate all the water out of it for me while I crack on with something else. I think the battery tray is probably getting ready for another coat of paint. At the moment it's very much just paint, let it dry, paint, let it dry, paint, let it dry. Typical stuff. Right, so whilst many things are drying around the garage and all the places, this is the rear brake lever and the rear brake lever pull bar, which is a little bent in places. It's not actually too bad, to be honest with you. We'll knock that back straight in a minute. Problem is, I can't separate the two at the moment, and I really need to. The cotter pin has given out, so it looks like it's back to the heat. They obviously didn't really believe in the old anti-seize grease back in the day. Nope, they've just broken. Right, so what's going to be tricky here is actually getting a hold of this little devil so I can drill it. Obviously at the moment it is roastingly hot. Could really do with it not being in there whilst I do this, but that's going to be a challenge, as the thing that is broken is the very thing that's supposed to keep it together in there. Ah, there we are. Place them there a minute. Right. I'll see how it is. Ah, that's got it. A hole. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to clean that up with the drill, and then we can get on with cleaning this thing up. Right, so before I get on with proper cleaning these, I'm going to give them the old water clean first, get some of this off them, because a lot of that is just oily sponge. It seems to work better actually if you try and just sort of wipe as much of that off with a towel as you can before you get, because I always thought that was rust and it wouldn't be chrome and shiny, and yet actually more than rust, it's just filth. Right, this is the pull rod for the back drum brake. It's a bit on the bendy side, so this hasn't had a particularly easy life of it. Not perfect, but as straight as we realistically need it. Right, let's get this thing cleaned up and painted. It's about as clean as that realistically needs to be for what it is. I suspect it was originally chrome, but now it just needs to be clean and not rusty. So we'll start off with a nice layer of etch primer. Don't really want it in the threads, but kinda is what it is. Well then, that's the airbox now fully painted, dried and reassembled with the filter back in it. As soon as the frame's dry, this and some other things can start to go straight back onto the bike now. So we're already sort of rebuilding some bits. This and the two-stroke oil tank and the battery tray will probably be the first things to go back on once they're dry. The battery tray, because it's a bit fiddly, is going to take a bit of time faffing about to get it painted right, but that can be stowed over there somewhere nice and safe where no harm can come to it now that it's just been completely renovated. Yes. It's funny the things that excite you. It's not ordinarily something that I would have liked to paint, but there wasn't really any realistic way of salvaging it otherwise. The easiest thing to do is just paint it. It just has to be black, so that's good enough for me. GoPro. Okay folks, well that's the end of day 2. I'm in a robe, freshly showered and all chilled. I've just come to check everything in here and make sure everything's switched off. Basically I'm going to call that part 1, because I don't want these videos to get too stupidly super long, so I'm going to call that part 1. And I'll see you in part 2, hopefully. But here's where we are at the moment. We've got everything all around in bits. Frame's at its first coating. It's getting ready for its next coat tomorrow, hopefully. Everything else is in bits. We've got the battery tray painted. A lot of the black plastics have been like painted and stuff now that you've seen. So that's all ready to, I mean, that pile over there is ready to go on the bike, back on the bike, except for the seat that wants recovering. We've got the two-stroke tank that's been beautifully cleaned. That actually looks pretty new now. So we're all good. We're all good. We're ready. We're ready to crack on and get some things back on the bike tomorrow, hopefully. So I'm going to call that part 1. And well, until part 2, get out there, get bushcrafting, get having fun, get stripping and cleaning and repairing little motorbikes or whatever other random crazy nonsense Bosun Dan tells you to do, because he's doing it at the time. And I'll catch you on part 2.